had to quit where he was the head doctor in one of the greatest hospitals in my country. And my mom urged him to start his own business, be independent. So they were the first social entrepreneurs in my country. And that was in the 1990s. At that time, very few people had the courage or the audacity to take the courage to start a business in Haiti. And so while I was growing up, I would see my parents all the time striving to build their own business. And maybe that's what brought my own entrepreneurial spirit, is the fact that I grew up in an environment of people who are constantly trying to improve the status quo, constantly striving to be different from everybody else. They were overcoming criticism, blame, risks. Sometimes you don't know where the money is going to come from. But they urged and they built the first private clinic in my country. At the age of 8, my parents sent me to the US, where they thought that I was going to get the best education, something that would have inspired me to become better than them. I stayed there for 4 years. For 4 years, I lived with one of my aunts. It was horrible. It was the worst moment of my life. I used to get beaten every day, insulted, humiliated. Sometimes she would even beat me, and while I was crying, she would put me under cold water and say, "Stop crying." Imagine a child that you beat. The child is crying. And then you tell the child, while you're putting them under cold water, to stop crying. And if they don't stop crying, you beat them even more. That's what I grew up. And it built a certain resilience, a certain mindset that I had to overcome this situation because I had no one else to turn to. Between the age of 8 and 12, every day, when I would take a shower, and the steam would be on the mirror, I would come and I would stand and I would draw a heart. And in the heart I would write, "Mom will come. Mom will come." Maybe that's what developed my faith. Today I consider myself someone who has audacity of faith. I take big risks. I follow whatever dream I have because I believe that at some point God will make it happen. In June or July 1999, my mom came. She finally came. And when she came, from that day I never saw my aunt again because I decided to go with my mom. My mom asked me, "You want to go back to Guinea?" I said, "Yes, I want to go back. I can't stand staying here. I can't stand living like the way I'm living right now." She says, "But Guinea is different. There's no electricity. It's not like here. Here you have gardens, you have playgrounds, you have education, you have everything." I told her, "Mom, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm with you, I want to go." So I went back to my country. At the age of 13, when I came back to my country, can you imagine someone who spent 4 years living in atrocity? You come back to your country and you find that everything's different. Your parents have 4 or 5 vehicles. Your stepfather, your parents are divorced actually. You find first that your parents are divorced. Your mom is remarried. She's remarried to one of the most powerful men of the country. You have bodyguards, you have drivers, you have privileges. It changed my thinking. I started hanging out with people who were older than me. I started drugs. I started sex. I started going out. All the things I didn't have the privilege to do when I was growing up with my aunt. Whereas my mom was selling gold or sending her whatever money she could get so that she can buy me Christmas presents that she never did. And I would see my friends who would make fun of me because I would go to school with the same shoe for a whole year. And my shoes would be talking as I walked. And everybody would make fun of me. But this time I had everything. I had the new Jordans before they even came out in the country. I had video games. I had everything I could imagine. And what I did, I stole my parents under the influence of my friends. They told me, "Go ahead and take it. Take whatever you have. Let's go and sell it. We'll go and have fun." So I went. My stepfather was an officer. He was the head of the police in my country. And had a gun in his room. I went and took the gun. When I was taking the gun, I saw other jewelry. I took the jewelry as well. At the age of 13, when my parents found out, they sat me down and told me, if you behave like a criminal, you should be punished like a criminal. So they sent me to jail. At 13, I was introduced in one of the worst places in my country, a jail cell. That was as long as this room, had a small window that's smaller than this piece of art, and that was the only source of light from 5 p.m. until the next day. I stayed there for 12 days. 12 days during which every single day when you're sitting down and someone moves, the smell from all the trash that has been stopped at the end comes on your face. And the smell of that trash is like blades that are laminating your face because it's so acid. But what happened during those 12 days? My life changed. During those 12 days, I met people who were in jail for the wrong reasons. I met people who were in jail simply because they were weak and they couldn't stand up to someone else. A young man who had gotten a young lady pregnant, and her father, because he had certain power, drove her to jail because he had gotten his daughter pregnant. A young man who was trying to feed his mom, and because he couldn't find the money, followed some friends who told him, we're going for a job. And when they went to the job, they stole some equipment from a material construction company. And they were all arrested. He didn't steal. He was just trying to find some money to feed his mom. And I found other people who were criminals, who didn't even want to repent. They were already gone on the way that I will never get out of this space. Why would I change? There's no one that loves me. No one cares about me. So by the time I was 14 and I got out of this experience, it was clear to me that my life should not be the same. The fact that I went through those difficulties, I should do something better with myself. I should do something better with my life. So I sat down one day. As I was going to sleep, I had a prayer. And I asked God, not knowing who He was, where He was, or what type of relationship I would have with Him today. I said, please change me. Show me the way. That night I had a dream. I had a dream and I saw my mom. I saw her crying. And I cried with her in the dream and I woke up crying. It was the first time that I ever woke up crying from a dream. I don't know what happened else from that day on, but my life changed. I started asking myself, I don't want to be like the people who destroyed other people. How can I become someone who can help build other people? So my whole time, from high school to university, I was the leader of every single activity I did. I was leading the basketball team, the soccer team, the cultural club. And I was also considering myself, because I was the eldest of my family, and I had 2 sisters and 1 little brother, that those are people that I need to take care of. I'm the ambassador of my family. And my mom used to always remind me, she says, a mother does not give up on her child. I will not give up on you. You are my champion. So every time I would feel in doubt, I would remember, and until today, I remember all the time, my mom telling me, you are a champion. And every time I face adversity, that's what I remind myself. I am a champion. I'm not out there to beat someone else. I don't want to be the best amongst you. I want to be the best of myself. As long as I'm living, that's what drives me. That was at the age of 14. At 18, I started my first business. And I had my first daughter. By the age of 22, I had failed in 12 different types of businesses. I had dropped out of 3 courses. Medicine in Czech Republic, where I had a scholarship. I dropped out of engineering school, and then I dropped out of business school in Senegal. By that time, my family was thinking, what is this boy going to become? He's dropping out of everything. You send him to Europe, he goes for a year, drops out of med school, where he has a scholarship, they're paying him to study, travels across Europe to maybe 5 different countries, saying that he wants to be a writer, saying he wants to study psychology, he wants to change the lives of people. My father said that he doesn't consider me as his son because I don't want to be a doctor like him. My mother continued encouraging me, but she was in doubt. But what was happening inside me? Each and every one of those failures was a lesson. It was a lesson that brought me towards understanding that you cannot be great without failing greatly. You cannot make great change in the world without taking big risks. So what I did, I came back to my country after being considered by my whole family as a failure. I said, you know what? Let me go back to the farm. Because they say, once a king is beaten in his kingdom, what he does, he goes and finds a smaller kingdom to rule. If you get beaten on the stage, it doesn't mean you're defeated. You just need to reframe your way of thinking. So what I did, I went back to the farm and I said, I'm going to start from scratch. And I started producing eggplants. When I started producing eggplants, I said, I don't want to produce eggplants like everybody else. What I want to do, I want to produce something that other people will come and see. They'll come and learn from my production. And everywhere I would go on the farm, which was a family farm that my mom was running at the time, I was always looking at the spaces where you can build a hut, where you can build a space where people can relax, where you can put a hammock. And in the course of a year and a half, I built the first agro-tourism retreat in Guinea, which still today is a unique model in all of West Africa. It's on 75 hectares, which is 188 acres. And it has not only the space for farming, but it has rooms for lodging, it has an outdoor restaurant, it has tracks for mountain biking and also hiking. I was the first one to be able to start agro-camping, inviting people to come and camp on a farm. To build that project, I went and spoke to some of the greatest industrialists in my country. They all told me, this is going to fail. This is not going to work. You're wasting your time. Guinea is not ready for tourism. Everybody has a farm. Why would someone go to your farm and visit? But to every single one of them, I answer the same thing. I'm going to make this vision a reality. I will make people come because I'm going to build something that they will find value in. And that's what I did. In the course of a year, I had 400 visitors from more than 44 countries. I had a Japanese come and work on my farm as a laborer. That changed people's mindsets. The US ambassador came to visit my farm. The UK ambassador came to visit my farm. Several ministers came to visit my farm. That gave me credibility. It gave me respect. It made people understand that this young man is not just crazy. It's not that just he has these visions of things that he wants to do and that he can't do them. And what did I do? Rather than becoming arrogant, like a lot of people do, I said I wanted more. I said I'm bored. And I had another vision. The first vision was to create a space where people could have fun on a farm. The second vision was to be on Forbes magazine with the President Obama having his left hand on my shoulder, and I was sitting in a royal chair. I don't know why I had that vision, but I sat down and I said, okay, if this is my vision, it's bold, it's audacious, I'm sitting in a farm and I'm having a vision like this, it means I'm going or I have to do something, which is not only going to get me on the cover of Forbes, but it's going to get me on the cover of Forbes with the President Barack Obama. The same month, I created a radio show. The same month, I took over a basketball team. I became the youngest president of a basketball team in my country. The Dare to Innovate movement was something that we started so that we can engage young people to become active social and business leaders in their communities. We wanted young people to start thinking, how can we solve the problems within our community ourselves? And then we would teach them the business tactics of how they could make that a reality. And it worked. So imagine, you have a vision, right? You have a vision, a clear vision, a compelling vision. And now what your mind does, it finds actions and things to do to make that vision a reality. I didn't know about the President Obama's program at that time. I didn't even know when he was going to come, how it was going to come. But in the course of a year, every single activity I did was driven by that vision. And a few months later, I was invited at the US Embassy to apply for the program. When I was applying for the program, I didn't care about it. I was just thinking, I need to build my country so that President Obama somewhere said, oh, there's this young man building this country. Like, it's so amazing, I need to go visit my country. That was my thought. But then they took me for the program. I applied, they said, you're a good candidate, we're taking you. And they gave me another internship with IBM during the program. We were 500 out of 50,000 across the African continent. We were considered the most promising young leaders of the continent. And out of that 500, they chose 100 who were going for internships. I had no background in technology, but because I want to create ecosystems, I want to create mindsets, IBM chose that they wanted me to work with them for 2 months, to work on innovation, how they can spread innovation across Africa. So think about it, a vision. You start doing the work, things start happening that you didn't look for, simply because you had a clear, concise, and compelling vision. A few months later, I was in the US. I did the program. I met the President Obama. The next day, Michelle Obama comes and puts her left hand on my shoulder to greet me. I didn't care about Forbes anymore. I didn't. Because I said to myself, Forbes was an image of a vision that drove me to make impact, that drove me to where I was. And I said, I need a bigger vision. Immediately. And that day, I had a vision of impacting 1 billion people. I said, I want to die remembered as someone who no longer dreams of being on Forbes magazine, because that's not the point. It's not the magazine. It's the impact that you make that gets you in the magazine. It's the work that you do that gets you on the magazine. It's the activities that you do. It's the initiatives you take that gets you where other people talk about you. So I no longer made any visions about other people. I focused on myself. And what I wanted to impact 1 billion people, to earn an extra $1 a day. Get 1 billion people out of poverty. Elevate 1 billion people from the bottom of the pyramid. That drove me to Kenya. I arrived in Kenya with $100 in October 2014. All I had was Kenyan entrepreneurs that all of you know, who were Forbes 30 under 30, Business Daily 40 under 40. Some have big companies, others have small companies, but they have big names. And they told me, we want you to work with us, like Kenyans like to do sometimes, but so that they can exploit me. And that's what they did. For the first 3 months, I was working with some of the people that all of you know. And each and every one of them, what they did was take advantage of my vulnerability. They lied to me. They cheated. They made me work for them with no pay, knowing that I came here with no income. But you see what happened? I had a vision. My vision was bigger. Mine was that to impact 1 billion people, I needed to be part of Kenya's Vision 2030. If I help Kenya achieve the Vision 2030 of making it the hub of innovation, I can impact a lot of people on the continent. Kenya, from IBM's point of view, was the hub of innovation already. There were so many things happening in Kenya that all the countries were converging here because the ecosystem is already created. So it's people like me who see that and say, okay, 15 years from now, by 2030, if I can engage Kenyan entrepreneurs, Kenyan young people, Kenyan women, to start thinking out of the box, to start taking risks, we're going to make that vision a reality. And it's not just going to be a vision for Kenya. It's going to be a vision for Africa. It's going to be a vision for the world. And that way, I can touch 1 billion people. So even when I was sleeping on the floor in Kiambu, even when I was sleeping in a broken bunk bed in Lavington, even when I was sleeping in a chair in Roysambu, even when I was sleeping in a bed in Kileleshwa, every single time I was telling myself, you are here for a reason. All these circumstances around you are going to pass. You're going to make this vision a reality. You're going to innovate Kenya. You're going to be a leader in Kenya. You're going to lead Kenyans towards their vision. And that's what I've been doing since I arrived. I lived under $2 a day, 200 shillings a day, for a whole year, so that God can teach me how the people I'm trying to help, how they live. And it's misery. I don't hold poverty to anyone, because it can lead to sin. It can lead to lies. People who are desperate, they can do anything, just like people who are determined. There's a thin line between desperation and determination. So anytime you feel like you want to do something at any price, ask yourself, am I desperate? Or am I just determined? And if you're determined, keep going. Because the Kenyan society does not encourage determined people. No, 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 no. When someone succeeds, they want everybody to follow them. I believe we can change that. I believe we can create an ecosystem where more entrepreneurs can have opportunities to grow. And everywhere I speak, I make sure that I hammer that in people's minds. Because that's how we're going to make Africa a continent of innovation. So to teach you about how to innovate yourself, I'm going to give you 7 key mindsets that I use all the time. 7 key mindsets that I refer to every single time that I'm stuck, or every single time that I'm in a situation where I feel like I can't move on. The first and foremost is to always start with the question, why? What tells you what it is? How tells you how it's done? And I'm repeating the words. But why gives you the purpose, the root cause of what you're doing or what you're pursuing. But you don't just ask why once. You ask why 5 times. Why am I here? I'm here to learn about public speaking. Why am I learning about public speaking? Because I want to be able to express myself better. Why do I want to express myself better? Because I want to be able to influence people. Why do I want to influence people? Because I want to create a better Kenya in a ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta way. That's why you're here. You're not here to learn how to speak. You're here for a deeper cause. If you find that deeper cause out, every single course where you will be here, the information will hammer in your mind in a different way. It will be anchored in a different way. You will understand it in a different way. You'll be able to explain it to other people in a better way. Second mindset. You have to be able to envision an ideal future for yourself. You have to be able to close your eyes and see yourself 15 years from now. And be able to make a movie of how you would want your life to be 15 years from now. So for me, I give you an example. In 2030, and this is not a guess or an if or a whatever, this is reality. In 2030, I will be traveling across the globe, teaching countries how to develop innovative plans for their communities, for their people. I would be investing in countries to develop infrastructure for innovation. By 2030, all the awards that would be given, they would give to me or the people who I work with because of the impact we've made. By 2030, my grandchildren would be traveling around with me to all these countries, and I would be sharing my impact while they're learning. By 2030, I will be healthy, running every day, speaking to people without thinking of health issues because I am fully healthy. You have to have a clear description of your life in 2030. It has to be clear, it has to be compelling, and it has to be the ideal. How you want it to be by detail. The type of bed you want to sleep in 2030. You have to have it in your mind. What that will do is your mind will start noticing things that align with that vision. Because if you don't have a clear vision, what happens? You're like a leaf that falls from a tree. The wind just takes you. And what is the wind in the lives of human beings? It's people, circumstances, and events that we don't have control over. When they happen, what do? They push us in all directions. Don't accept that for your life. The third mindset. So you figured out why you're here or why you're doing what you're doing. You envision the ideal future, either of your business, your life, whatever it is you're doing. The third is to make daring goals. You have to make a daring goal. Something that scares you, something that pushes you out of your skin. A goal that when you tell people, they laugh because they don't believe you can make it happen. People with small goals don't do anything. People with average goals do small things. People with big goals change the status quo because they believe that they were born to do it. And each and every one of you has a divine purpose that you should pursue. You have a heroic purpose that you should follow and make a reality. Fourth mindset. After making daring goals, you need to start small with what you have, where you are. In my case, in Kenya, when I lived for a long time with nothing, I said, what do I have? I have my knowledge, I have my skills, I have my mind. And in the meantime, even though I was going through all those difficulties, I was learning every day. I was learning every day. Because as a speaker, let me tell you one thing. Your only value is the extent of your knowledge. How much you know about one subject and how little you know about many subjects. And how you can connect them all together. So that's why reading is important. But don't only read what interests you. Sometimes go and read something you know nothing about so that you can expand your thinking. I read on quantum physics. I read on the future. I read on religion. I read on society. But where I spend most of my time reading is on personal development. How to speak, how to deliver, how to engage people, how to influence minds, how to understand what happens in someone else's thinking without them talking. I read about leaders, those who change the world. I read about people who have made the world worse because they also have something we can learn from. So, you need to start small with what you have. And if what you have is your pitch, if what you have are your skills, if what you have is your product or your friends, use that to start, to get to your bigger vision. Fifth mindset. Or is it the sixth mindset?
Fifth.
The fifth mindset. You need to build a team. Because you can't do anything alone. Have people around you that have the same ambitions as you, or that are inspired by your ambition. If you speak to anyone about your dream and they're not excited, do not keep up with them. If you speak to anyone about your product and they don't feel infused with energy, do not do business with them. We sometimes have the tendency to think that we don't have a choice. We didn't choose our fathers. We didn't choose our mothers. We never chose our brothers and sisters or our grandparents or our uncles. But we choose our friends. We choose our mates. We choose our partners. That you have a choice. So it's your choice to stick with them. It's your choice not to be with them. And until you can exercise that choice on a daily basis, you are weak and destined for failure. Because no one else will help you succeed unless the people who are around you. Because they're the people who can keep you going even when you can't keep moving. Sixth mindset. Build relationships. You're not here to build partnerships in the world. Partnerships, I don't think they existed when the thing started. No. People were building relationships. Successful people build relationships. You build relationships with your clients. You build relationships with your employees. You build relationships with your employers. You build relationships with your suppliers. Every single human that you interact with wants to know that they're important. So when you meet someone, don't just ask them, so how's business? No. How are you? How's your family? Get to know the names of the people that they care about. So that they know that you care about them. That way, even when business goes wrong, the people stay together. Some people don't know how to break up. Every single time they broke up with someone, it was war. Why? Because you never knew how to build a relationship. You can build a relationship with your husband and your wife if it wasn't there before. Think about what they love, what they care about. Put yourself in their shoes so that they can be able to put themselves in your shoes. Lastly, finish strong. Don't ever start something that you cannot finish. Always finish whatever you start. But don't just finish. Finish with a bang. Even when you're tired. Even when you're dying. Die with a bang. Die with a smile on your face. If you can live every day, like the day you're going to die with a smile on your face, what is it that you cannot achieve? Just think about it. Is there anything that can discourage you? If you knew today you were going to die, and that you only had these hours between now and the time that we were going to bury you, and tomorrow we're going to receive a WhatsApp message to tell us that, oh, that person you were with in the room, they're dead. Do you want to die thinking about things that we don't know about? Do you want to die with the worries of the problems that you never were able to solve? Do you want to die without saying sorry to the people that you hurt? So you need to do that now. For you to finish strong, you need to deal with the past, and you need to deal with the present. You cannot finish a project when the foundation was bad. It's not going to be successful. So if you see anything is going wrong, stop and go back, fix it, so that you can be able to finish strong. Finish strong, as I finish this, is also about perseverance and resilience. It's not giving up. Successful people, in the face of adversity, they lean in. Flight pilots, they tell them all the time that if in any case your engine runs low and it stops moving, don't pull. Why? Because already your plane is going down. So if your plane is going down, you're in the air and you're pulling, what's going to happen? The head of the plane will do like this. What they teach them again and again and again and again is dive in. If things are difficult, dive in. Because then what you do, you have the opportunity to take leverage of the speed, and then at the end, you pivot. That's what you need to do in the face of adversity. If you see someone is pushing you, push back. If you see a problem is bothering you, push in. If you see you're afraid of something, do it. Anything that challenges you, challenge it. And that's how you overcome it. These are 7 key mindsets for you and everyone you know to innovate themselves. If you apply them in your everyday life, you will change how you live in the next 90 days. I promise you. It's me, I've done it, and I've seen it in other people. Thank you for your time.